As the quest to unravel the circumstances surrounding the mysterious death and passing of this bright and destined dude, Mohbad, one continues to wonder if these 10 critical questions will be answered. First, was there any serious threat to Mohbad's life? 2, were there critical occurrences or incidences to support this assertion? 3, were there internal and external enablers or predisposing factors? 4, are these predisposing factors avoidable? Number 5, who is or should be responsible for avoiding these factors? 6, when last was he seen? When was the last time Mohbad was seen? 7, where was he last seen and with who? 8, who confirmed his death and what was the immediate cause of death? Was he certified at death and who is with Mohbad's death certificate? The last and 10th question should be, when exactly was he buried and who approved his burial and the burial site? Which family members approved his death and the site of the death? Because at death, every relation that has a say over someone is summoned. We really do hope that this investigation will answer all these questions. Investigations are like drag nets. When you throw them into the river, they catch a lot of species. When thoroughly done, investigations catch even the unexpected. I don't know why I feel like I have doubts about these investigations. There are always assurances about investigations. What if public speculations are confirmed? Will the police be bold enough to say it as it is without exonerating anybody? Why I say I have my reservations about this investigation is the shabby nature it was started. An investigation attracting the whole world, being viewed all over social media by people from different countries, and the police came to exhume a body that has been under anaerobic condition for more than a week without the proper PPE, personal protective equipment. Look at the people exhuming the body in simple hand gloves with singlets and short knicker. What does that speak of our police? They are going to tell us that it's the locals that are bringing out the body, but they are in charge. Every authority and power concerning that investigation has been vested on them. If not, there is no way anybody can open that grave without their permission. After all, the father of the dead said he's not going to perform or bring out the body. To show you the powers the state and the police have, they finally did. And at the end of the day, you see how shabby it was done, how shabbily it was done. Without proper tools, ordinary dirty shovels, 2 men battling to remove the body. That cast aspersion on the readiness and professionalism of the people conducting this investigation. That was my first disappointment. So don't crucify me if I say that I don't know if anything will come out of this investigation. Another reason is that, like I said earlier, investigations are like dragnets. Don't be surprised. It's going to touch a lot of people that are not expected to be in the saga. The question is if the police will edit their findings. Anyway, let's buy them some excuses. After all, they are just trying to help. Now, let us do our own simple layman investigation. Follow me on this journey. First, the complaints, the abuses, the battering which answers my first question if Mohbad was in serious danger. The threats. Thinking of that clip where he said, if I die, na Naira Marley music kill me.
Everybody in your world, please help me if I die. Oh, Amalia music, Naira Marley kill me.
People have also said there was also another audio recording where he says, if I die, now you kill me. I think concerning the wife, that there was an audio recording between him and the wife where he accused the wife of going to be responsible or going to be held responsible if anything happened to him. I'll come back to that. What do you see next? A witch cried in the night. A child died in the morning. Someone hits in the bush and runs out to the road to ask, who is there? Mohbad is dead. It did not end there. The next moment, it's all over the news that Mohbad is dead and that he died of an ear infection. A body was paid or was contracted to churn out that news. They didn't just come up with it. Someone had asked them to put that in the media because no one just comes to claim the cause of the death of someone else's child without permission. Why? Was there a deliberate effort, an immediate one at that, to mislead the public? Everything aimed at removing attention from the main issues. That's the way I see it. Raising yet another suspicion. Before you know it, he's already committed to Mother Earth. And while we're trying to believe that he died in the hospital due to an injection because of ear infection, the hospital that they claimed administered the treatment came up with this statement. At this point when they said Mohbad was already dead before coming to their facility, I almost lost it. And I sat down and I thought deeply. What was I thinking? And I'm sure you did think the same. What about the report of the person that claimed to have snapped with him in the hospital? That person said he came in okay, and even though looking weak or something, and I requested to have a snapshot with him in his meekness and humility. He obliged. And just 20 minutes or 30 minutes after that photograph, I saw movements all over the place. The next thing I heard was that Mohbad was dead. Did it really happen that way? Or that person, are you thinking what I'm thinking, was stage managed? Let's still be doing our layman investigation so that we can connect the dots. At what point did the father come to terms with what had happened to the extent of calling a casket maker who hurriedly jammed a casket for his burial? That one was also making a lot of excuses as to why it wasn't the size of casket that is appropriate for Mohbad that he brought. All sorts of rubbish. There are several places one can get a ready-made casket or coffin. At least I was privileged to buy my father's coffin for his burial single-handedly because my family had trusted that I could do it because of my location at the time and the fact that there are good caskets in the markets. I even showed them pictures before we finally agreed on one. I didn't have to take my father's measurements or call anybody. I'm simply trying to say that there are standard measurements for any size of human being. The length, breadth that can size any size of human being in the market. They didn't bother giving that boy a last respect for a boy who has suffered to support the family in the ways he can. Forgive my expression. I said rubbish because I feel so bad at this point. I am not talking about sophisticated casket or coffin. That is not what I'm talking about. After all, when we are dead, we'll become almost trash, such that it doesn't matter how beautiful the coffins are. That is not what I'm talking about. I am talking about the issues surrounding that casket, which I will still elaborate. And this begs the question whether everything was okay. At this point, it begins to appear like a larger conspiracy and a perfected plan executed. If you like, call me a conspiracy theorist, but there is no smoke without a fire. Now, let's begin to look at it this way. Which people did he perform for last? All these my explanations have been going back to these 10 questions I asked earlier. Which people did he perform for? Asking that question again, where was he in the last moments leading up to his death? Is that performance a bait to bring him out? There has to be a performance, a show, something someone will always run to. That thing that will always make you come out or be smoked out no matter wherever you are. There's always one thing that everybody falls to. Could the stage performance be the bait to expose Mohbad? In the euphoria of performance, people lose guard. They call it the day of rejoicing. It's usually the days people are caught unawares. Could it be that in the freedom, in the euphoria, in the basking of performance, Mohbad lost guard and got poisoned, either by ingestion or injection? Ingestion, what he has eaten, or injection, what has been put in his body. Then knocked out and struggling with life, which informs the moment he was pictured lying helpless when that person was shouting, Mohbad is dead, because there seemed to be life yet in him at that time, according to the videos available to the net. And if you also look at the time it was announced that he had passed, and all these claims by the hospitals and everything we have been talking about, it looks like the time that video was released wasn't actually the time it was taken. Is he a baby? He is not a baby. How could he have just been handled like a child who is helpless, other than that in the euphoria of partying, performance, after performance, or happiness of a successful event, someone loses guard and is attacked in whichever form, videoed to be released much, much later, because everything points to the last time he went for that performance, and then nobody is talking about any other activity in between that time and the time his death was announced and the time he was buried. It looks to me like everything was happening simultaneously until his death was made public, because no one has said the timeline of that video. Videos can be released anytime. I might not say it all, but I'm just sharing my thoughts with you. There will always be something that will bring someone out. And it will take an alliance, especially with trusted allies, for something planned, pre-planned, to be executed smoothly. Starts connecting the dots. Like I said, investigations are like dragnets. Was he dead in the hospital and yanked off the hospital bed? That moment the person was shouting, Mohbad is dead, Mohbad is dead. And then the hospital allowed them to carry a patient they were treating under such circumstance at this time of death and ran away and watched them do that. Are you getting my confusion? The confusion. Is it that because the person started shouting, Mohbad is dead, Mohbad is dead? Is it that at the time he died, he was yanked off the hospital bed and then they entered the road screaming, Mohbad is dead, Mohbad is dead? And then is it that in that state of confusion, they rushed him to the house immediately? Were they going to see his father in that state? I ask again, Mohbad is dead, Mohbad is dead. Is it that that second when he died, they yanked him off the hospital bed as fresh as it is and started running to go and give his father for burial? Or was this video made on the way to the hospital or to whichever facility they took him to? Because the hospital had said he was dead already when they came, making someone to conclude that they had taken those videos before getting to the hospital and then releasing those videos at a time when they deemed fit. Videos are not always released when they were made. If the hospital is saying he was already dead as at the time they brought him to the hospital, it means that that point where somebody was crying with friends in the car shouting, Mohbad is dead, Mohbad is dead, it means that that video had been taken before they got to the hospital to claim that he died after an injection for ear infection or for anything. Is it that at that point they were rushing to deliver him to the father, who quickly made a decision in that moment of confusion to bury him? And started, at what point did he call the person that puts the casket together? Are you getting what I'm saying? Because I'm beginning to feel that this is a larger conspiracy, a larger plan executed perfectly before making the public feel like he had died the way they want us to believe. Like I said, investigations are like dragnets. If the police thoroughly do their work, would they be magnanimous enough to tell us those involved? And if at all, the first set of threats made on him as opined that was coming from Oba Elegushi, if actually he is involved, will the police also tell the public? These are people that know who and who to call to avert being dragged in the mud. I haven't said anything negative. Remember, we are working with data that is in public notice. Finally, fingers are pointing to the wife. I said I was going to come back to that. Left for me, I would say let the young lady mourn in peace. But since the public is already dragging her and even the father of the child, let's look at also the issues or data that are in public notice. On the father, I couldn't reconcile the fact that he had to be pushed into an undersized casket, squeezed in like when you want to put a chicken in a bowl to pluck out the feathers, you squeeze it in to size whether the chicken likes it or not. For someone who is your child, who you are destabilized with the news of his death, the memories you want to have of that child in the grave is of bended neck and a suffering body. Hell no. No. Because forget about all this frenzy. Everybody is on the matter and is looking like nothing happened. When the public goes, the reality dawns on the family, the father, that they had missed a child. And then what keeps you is the last memory you have of that child. Will it be the treatment given to him in the last moments of his existence? That is what I can't reconcile. Why the haste? Let me not go there. The wife has also been accused. With what the Malian group represented, they represented indiscipline, lousiness, or loose virtue. It has been rumored that they were sleeping around with each other to the extent that the so-called Sam Larry has had an affair with the wife. Whether or not it is true, I don't care, because I feel that it wasn't with the consent of the husband. Whatever he did with her, he did in secrecy, knowing full well that she was someone's wife. So were you trying to raise a child with that person's wife as to take her and take the child, or what? Or cause a problem in their marriage? And if the guy in question happened to know and decide to leave it that way, who are we to question? It is not who deposited a seed that is called the father. The father, in most cases, is that person who was there to take responsibility, and not somebody who was catching a cruise. And then I wouldn't think that Mohbad's wife, knowing full well that Larry has a family, would want to continue with him, other than this bright young guy who she claimed has got everything for her. So I do not think that the issue of paternity could have led to what happened to Mohbad. Moreover, that audio recording of husband and wife could be one of those quarrel times when a spouse will nag and say, if anything happens to me. Maybe that was his own way of telling his wife that I didn't like whatever it is we are dragging. Sometimes wives, and even especially younger girls of these days, have a lot of things in their head as to how to run their relationships. So who knows what it is both of them are dragging. I don't know if I can exhaust that. Time is already gone. And then for the mother, I learned that the boy lived a greater part of his life without the mom. Whatever be the issue they have in their family, I don't know. But all this also would have helped if properly taken care of, probably to avert this whole thing. As this investigation continues, I have a feeling that it might still be one of those Nigerian issues which is in the news for like 2 weeks and dies the 3rd week. But I feel that Mohbad has a grace, like I said in my first video. He is the light he called himself. And you know one thing, when you are in the circles of darkness, they see the grace you carry. They see the light in you, which you don't see. And if God didn't reveal it to you, you might be a victim, because light and darkness can never mix. Let's fold our hands and see how these investigations go. We just did our layman investigation. I've taken lots of your time. Thank you for watching. Please subscribe so we can also be analyzing these things together. Bye.